Hello. Hello, Instagram. Hello, Instagram. Can you guys hear me? Can you let me know if you can hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes or no? Yes or no? You're so welcome. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Yay! I got a little microphone on right here. Okay, you guys, hi. I am making food and I really wanted to talk. I wanted to bring you into my little kitchen as I make my food and say hello. I want to talk about all things God, all things Jesus, all things spiritual battle, all things infiltrated thoughts. What it looks like and what it means when we start allowing God to take the lead. And that's what's happening on the planet right now. It is literally the most exciting time and also the most difficult. The most difficult because we've never done this and we forgot how to do it. Let's talk. Yes, let's talk. I'm going to make some fish. Oh, yay, Jessica, I can't wait. It's going to be such an incredible event. In Dublin, it's going to be amazing. I cannot wait. So, as you guys know, my life has been shifting so significantly since really committing my life to God. Letting God come in, letting the light of God come in, letting the holy light come in, letting Jesus come in, all of it. And it's not been easy. It's been a roller coaster ride the last 9 months. A massive roller coaster ride, what I've gone through. But man, oh man, oh man, I cannot tell you how good it feels to be becoming closer and closer to this aligned state with the light of God, with God's presence, with God's essence. There's nothing like it. And it blows my mind sometimes because I've been on this walk for so long. I've been on this walk of ascension and evolution and all of it for a really long time. And never really seen actual, tangible, physical results in my life of a shift in consciousness, really. Like awarenesses. Yeah, I've got awarenesses. Yeah, I learned deeper state of flow and things like that. But never did I feel myself moving back into my natural state of being. Never did I feel God like I do today. An actual presence. I was always the one that was like, I am God. God's in me. I am God. I got everything I need. I am good. Hello. You got everything you need inside. I believed that. I lived that my whole life. And yes, that's true. Except that we've been in a spiritual battle where that light has been infiltrated. And so we have to remember how to spark it back up. We have to remember how to bring who we are as this divine essence. We have to remember how to bring the charge back in. Imagine God's light as the cord that has to plug in, right? So you've got this beautiful lamp and you're like, I'm a light. I'm a light. I'm a light. And yet you're not turning on, right? It's like, yeah, you're a light, but you're not turned on yet. You're like, no, I've got everything I need. I am so good. You're like, oh, you're just missing a tiny little piece. You're just missing a tiny little piece. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a light. This is how it works. And all you need to do, that light doesn't realize, all it needs to do is plug in to the circuit, It needs to plug into the source. It needs to plug into source. Dink. When it plugs in, then it understands its light. Then it's like, oh, this is how I was supposed to be? Yeah, this is how you were supposed to be. And what we do is we try to figure out how to light up, right? So before we actually plug into source and actually light up, we're trying to figure out how to like be the light, right? We're like, oh, you got to do it like this. No, you got to do it like this. It's like, no, you got to actually do it like this. And so you're figuring out all the ways to be the light, not realizing that it's not your job. You don't have to figure out how to be you. You don't figure out how to ascend. You don't figure out how to evolve. You don't figure out how to high vibe or low vibe. You don't figure out even how to heal and fix yourself. That's not your job. When you're plugged into source, the distortion that we've been living in, which is the reality right now, that I'm in charge, that I fix, that I heal, that I do all this, I figure out how the light turns on, I do all the light stuff. It's a lot of effort, it's a lot of work, it's the inverted matrix. When the light of God, when you plug into source, okay, and that light of God comes in, the light turns on, then you realize, oh my God, this is actually my natural state. Holy cow, this whole time I have not actually felt my natural state. Because I thought that I know I'm the light. I've got the light in me. I know I'm the light, right? But it's like, but we forgot. We forgot what happened 7,000 years ago. Plug back in. I don't need to plug back in. I am the light. No. Plug back in. Invite that light back in. Invite that holy light back in. Every day, all day, all day. This is the spiritual battle that we're in. The spiritual battle is literally, can I multitask? Can I multitask is the real question here in my kitchen. The spiritual battle is literally like, sorry, I don't know why my lips are green or orange. Very weird. The spiritual battle is what is the inverted matrix that keeps us believing, we either need to kind of like bow down to this like higher God that's better than us, that judges us, that looks down on us. You know, we need forgiveness, we need all these things. Or the inverted matrix is also, I am God, I am the light. I'm that light hanging on the wall, I'm good. Both of them are wrong, in my opinion. Both of them are the lie, the program. And when I'm making cauliflower. When you realize this, when you do the opposite of what we've been told, then you're like, ta-da! You start to feel God. The light turns on, you're like, holy moly of holy molies. This is it. This is it. All right, hold on, you guys. We are what I like to call cooking. We're cooking. I've never done an Instagram live cooking. I feel good about it so far. Anyway, so I'm just jumping on. I'm jumping on to say hello. Remind you guys to bring in the light of God. Remind you guys to hang out with Jesus. Invite Jesus into your life. Invite him into your life. It's interesting. It's interesting when you start talking about Jesus because it's a very triggering subject. Yes, I'm cooking with gas. It's a very interesting subject because, if people invite Jesus into their lives, they will know Jesus. They'll get to know Jesus. Jesus will guide them. Jesus will share with them. Jesus does the work, right? There's an interesting thing that happens with some people where they get upset if you try to bring Jesus into people's lives, but not through a religion. It's like, if I don't bring Jesus to people through like scripture, let's say, but just like, hey, invite him in, see what he wants to share with you. Maybe he'll tell you to read the Bible, Maybe he'll tell you to go to church. I don't know what he's going to tell you. It's not my job to tell you what Jesus is going to tell you. It's also not my job to tell you, who Jesus is. My job is just to say, hey, you might want to invite him in and see what he can do because he's pretty spectacular. But people get very upset, like it's not the real Jesus. It's like, how do you know it's the real Jesus or not the real Jesus that I'm speaking to, or that people are hanging out with? You know what I mean? It's a real interesting. It's a real interesting time on the planet. Discernment is huge. Discernment is huge. The amount of confusion and distraction that's going to be thrown on us, a whole other level of tomatoes, if you know what I mean. I just got back from 36 hours of no internet, no Wi-Fi, no cellular. Like I couldn't get on at all. It was great. I didn't want to. That's why I went there. But it was the most powerful reset I've had in years. I didn't realize the amount of distortion and poison that I didn't really realize until I completely no longer had access to any 5G towers, any of that. That's when I realized how much this poison pulls us from God, pulls us from our channel, pulls us from clarity, pulls us from truth, pulls us from trusting God, following God. It's like this distorted radio station is in the body all the time. And to be able to get a clear signal is really, really hard. It's very difficult to get a clear signal because we've got all this distortion. If you have the opportunity to go somewhere and not like turn off your phone, I'm not talking about turning off your phone. I'm not talking about like hiding your phone or like not being on your phone. I'm talking about literally not being around any Wi-Fi, any internet, any, like just go somewhere where you literally cannot get online and you will feel something magical. Magical. Hi, Angela. Distinguishing between God and the other thoughts. How do you feel different between the two? It's a good question. God feels... God doesn't have a lot of voice, a lot of words. God is a presence, so God feels a certain way. God will be calm. God will be, it has a softness to it. God can feel kind of distant, like you can't really hear it, you can't grab it yet. It can feel very distant. Now I'm talking about the omnipresent God. I'm not talking about Jesus. Jesus is different. But God, that omnipresent creator source God, it's very soft. It's very distant. It feels far away. But it's calm. It doesn't have a lot of words. It doesn't have, there's no confusion in God. There's no judgment or indecision. There's no right or wrong with God. There's no right or wrong in the sense that God's not going to come down and be like, you were bad. You did a bad thing. God doesn't have that kind of judgment. It doesn't exist in that frequency. What you want to do when you're practicing kind of connecting deeper and deeper to God is, first of all, I highly encourage you to invite Jesus in to help you, because Jesus is God incarnate. So when you connect with Jesus, you can feel God more and more, and you get familiar with what God feels like. And so when you bring Jesus in, you're getting a double dose, and it's just a lot easier. It's a lot easier. But what happens when you start sitting and connecting with God, inviting that light in more and more, is you don't want to have an attachment to some sort of outcome or expectation. You don't want to have like, oh, I have to hear, or I have to feel, or better feel like this, or look like this, or whatever. you want to be open to just the opportunity and the relationship that you're building. You want to be calm. You want to be still. You want to be in silence, if you can. The better. The more you're in silence, the more you'll be able to feel it and experience it. And then, but do it all day long. Do it all day long. Bring that light in all day long. What I was going to say though, when you do sit quietly, or not so quietly, you're going to hear all the thoughts. You want to hear the thoughts. The more you hear the thoughts, the more you'll distinguish between the thoughts and God. Okay, so it's like that analogy I just shared about all the TVs in the classroom, and you're trying to read a book. So you've got all these TVs going. So it's not about turning off the TVs. You'll never be able to turn the TVs off. Okay, you can't quiet the world. But what you can do is you can learn how to focus with the noise. So you can learn how to focus with all the different voices in your head and all the different thoughts. And it's a practice. The only way through is through. So you got to just practice. And you will know God because you know God. So you'll know. You just keep inviting it in. Oh my God, it is an old school phone on my phone. Look. Wait, hold on. Hello. Well, yes, of course. Instagram is here. Hold on, please. Remember these old school phones? Yes. Yep, we got that. Does anybody else? The Holy Spirit is everything. The Holy Spirit is everything. God is subtle but clear. Yes. Bring Jesus in. Bring Jesus in. God is the divine engineering of, wow, I see why it had to happen that way. 100%. 100%. That is God. Do you still practice yoga? How do you integrate the... I do yoga. I do power yoga, and I do hot Pilates, which is not yoga. And, I think the reason why, I could be wrong, I'm not a Christian, but I believe the reason why Christians believe that yoga is demonic or bad, I could be wrong. If you're a Christian and you have a better understanding, by all means share. But I believe the reason they don't like it is because there's an understanding or a belief that you are praying to a demigod or another god, or you're putting another god on a pedestal, or you're worshiping a different god, right? Or your focus is on a different type of God. You're praying to something other than God, right? That's my understanding. Again, I could be wrong. That's why they call it, I think, demonic. And listen, there's truth to this. The truth is that if you are praying to something that's not God, it's going to get you in trouble. If you are bowing down to and handing your life over to a different type of God, which is what we do. We do it with money. We do it with sex. We do it with relationships. We do it with our body. We're making our bodies God. We're making money God. We're making success God. We're making all these things God, right? And so we're bowing down to these other gods. And I think the Christian community believes that doing yoga is when you're doing the postures, you are praying to, you're worshiping a different type of God. But I don't feel that when I'm doing yoga. I don't see it as that. I'm not worshiping another God. I'm not doing a posture and bringing myself into I'm not being hypnotized. I'm not, I think yoga is very different than that kind of, the yoga that I do is very different. So I don't see yoga as demonic. I don't see it as me worshiping, it's not infiltrating my thoughts. I've got other fish to fry in terms of infiltrating my thoughts, and it's not yoga. I think when your eyes are on God, you can navigate this world with much more ease. The key is where are your eyes, right? Where are your eyes in terms of what you're focused on, what you're what you're calling or referring to as God. So yeah, I do yoga and I do hot Pilates, and I don't have any problem with it. And so far it hasn't been an issue. There's a lot of things that have been issues that I've had to get rid of in my life. So far that's not one of them. Do you know much about the Lost Gospels of Jesus? I do. I know I read those. Yes, I read the Lost Gospels. And I wrote a book with Jesus called Jesus Speaks. And he shared a lot with me. And he shared a lot about his, how many years? Let's see. From the age of 8 till 28, he was in training all over the world. We wrote a little bit about it. But, yeah, I know a lot about that. A lot about that. Very fascinating what he experienced. Very fascinating what he went through. And, you know, those Gospels, the quote-unquote lost Gospels, there is very little that was passed along to humanity that Jesus taught. Very little. What's in the Bible is, you know, that they consider like the red letters, you know, the things that actually Jesus spoke out loud, so to speak, right? That's nothing compared to what he, like the amount of knowledge that he shared, the amount of, what he gifted humanity during those 3 years. I mean, you're telling me it's just in that small little 4 Gospels? Like, no. A lot was lost. Or stolen. Or burned. In the class that you saw him dancing, that was me, and he was very quiet, and I couldn't stand still, and I naturally began to dance, and he joined. I felt he was giving me a message. What class? The book's going to be so good. The book is called Jesus Speaks. It's not out yet. We're editing it. And I really believe that it's going to help people see and understand Jesus in a new way. Of course, it's not from the Bible, so there will be criticism around that. But dare I say that it's from Jesus. And that will be ridiculed as well. But it's okay. I think that his energy and his frequency, his voice will come through in the words. When you read it, you'll feel him. I'll share a lot about the way that I had to write the book, but he had to change a lot in me to be able to write it. He had to clear out a lot of things in my life for me to be able to write it. I had to let go of a lot of friends while I was writing it. I had to let go of a lot of the things that I did to write it. I had to fast a lot to write it. There's a lot that I had to do for him to come through. So it wasn't just like me sitting down willy-nilly like, I'm going to write a book about Jesus. That's not even close to what this was. It was a deep, deep training. It still is. Even in the editing, it's training. He's said to me so many times he's not going to come in right now because I'm not in the right aligned state. There's distortion or there's this or that. And so... yeah, there's a lot that I had to learn. There's a lot of I had to understand infiltration. I had to understand demonic attacks. I had to understand Instagram and social media. I had to understand a lot. But I'm so excited to get this book out to you guys. I really think that you'll see Jesus and feel Jesus and understand Jesus in a way that isn't just in the religious context. And I think that's important. And yeah. It's not available yet. It's going to come out next year. Hopefully by like March of next year. Yeah. Thanks for asking, Allie. God is truth. It will be heard. The hearts, 100%. Speak about demonic attacks. How many days do you have? What do you want to know about the demonic attacks? Divine nutrition. What specifically do you want to know about demonic attacks? They're very real. They're not shadow. It's not something that you need to learn. It's not a teaching. It's not some sort of, trauma that you need to heal. Demonic attacks are very, 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 very real. And, they come in many different ways. They are passed down from generation to generation. They feed off of emotional states or feeling states, I'll say. So demonic energies need you to feel a specific feeling state. So a feeling state could be jealousy. A feeling state could be rage. A feeling state could be fear. A feeling state could be greed. When you feel what greed feels like, when you feel that in your body, right? You're not necessarily saying like, I'm going to now feel greed or jealousy, right? It comes up. The demonic energies stimulate it. The demonic energies create thoughts in your head that make you do things. You call it an addiction. You call it trauma, a trauma response. You call it ancestral wounds. You call it relationship issues. We call demonic attacks a lot of things. We make it very normal, right? But it's truly either, in my opinion, from what I've learned from Jesus, most of what we actually are dealing with on the planet that we call behavioral issues, traumas that we have to heal, these kinds of things, they're either demonic attacks, which is basically an infiltrated energy that comes into your mind and creates thoughts like parasites. They create these thoughts and these beliefs that you hold as truth. They nestle into your mind, they nestle into your body, and they're parasitic, so they feed off that feeling state that they need you to feel. And so basically everything that we're kind of navigating in this life, I believe, stems from either a demonic attack or a parasitic infiltration. They're a little different. Parasitic infiltration is not as hardcore and heavy and dark as demonic energies. But if we were to see this planet through the lens of energy, we would see the demonic energies. We would see the infiltrated archonic, their archon thoughts, their archonic parasites. And the reason that you and I and this whole world is continuously finding ourselves looping the idea of healing, and now we have to heal something else, and now we have to heal something else, and now we have to fix something else. First of all, it's not our natural state. We're not naturally as humans designed to do that. That's this inverted matrix that we live in that is literally run by demonic energies. The reason we do that is because we're not fixing the actual the actual core issue, which is the demonic energies or the infiltrated archonic parasitic energies. We're dealing with the what's it called? The issue, the problem. We're dealing with the problem, right? The problem is I have issues with men. I have boundary issues. I have, I'm an alcoholic. I'm depressed, these types of things. And so we fix the symptom. Thank you. We fix the symptom. And when you fix the symptom, you're not actually fixing the inception point, the problem. And so our whole lives we go in circles, fixing the symptom and not the problem. The problem, the core issue, the core problem is the demonic energies. So how do you deal with that, right? So then what do we do? You have to start to bring God in, because God will show you God will show you the infiltration. God will show you the demonic energies, because that's God's job. That's what God will do, because God brings you back to you. God brings you back to your natural state, your God-like state. So if there's anything in your system that is not, that is trying to pull you from God, God's going to show that to you. And so God immediately starts showing you the demonic thoughts, the infiltrated thoughts, the parasitic, archonic thoughts. It's going to tell you, stop doing this, stop doing that, don't go there, don't do that. It's going to actually naturally pull you from it. You're going to naturally stop drinking. You're going to naturally stop hanging out with this person. You're going to naturally stop ... These things naturally begin to happen. And you're like, wait a second, I've been trying to heal myself from this forever. God's like, yeah, you've been healing the symptom, not the problem. The problem is these infiltrated demonic energies. And so what you can do is, I would, if I were you, if you feel like you have these demonic energies, I would invite God in 24/7. The moment you feel like you're being attacked, invite God's light in. Invite God's army of angels in, right? There's nothing more powerful than God's light right now. Nothing. And then you have to have the faith that it's there and that it's going to, kind of like push out the energies. It's not real until you actually experience it, and then you realize, truly. And it's not something to be afraid of. They're like little fleas, The more that you start navigating them, the more you just start being aware of them. You can pinpoint it. You know when it's about to come in. You can feel it. You can feel when you feel off. If you've had a demonic energy inside of you for a very long time, most likely you have addictions, right? Demonic energies are passed from really traumatic events. So if you've had a really traumatic event in your life, that individual that that created the trauma to you, they had demonic energies in them. And the demonic energies jumped into the host, or into another host, which is you. And so now all of a sudden you have all these problems, and you could say, oh, well, it's in my genetics. That's demonic energies passed from generation to generation. So when you start looking out at the world from the lens of demonic energies and the archon parasitic energies that move into the mind and create all the different thoughts, you start to realize, my God, we were set up for failure from the get-go. Then we have this aspect of God in us, right? But we forgot how to plug back into source. So we're like, wait, how do we do this? How do we get through this? And when you start walking back to God, and you start walking with God, and you start embodying God, and you start accessing God, then they come after you. They're like, oh, no, sweetheart. What are you doing? We don't go that direction. No, we don't go towards God. Then you start hearing the thoughts of, I'm not good enough. I'll never be able to do this. Who do I think I am? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this isn't the right direction. Maybe I'm supposed to do this. Maybe I'm supposed to do that. It creates confusion. They like to create confusion. The moment you start to feel really, really confused, and by the way, this app will make you feel very, very confused. That's why you got to turn it off. It'll make you feel very confused. You bring in that light. You invite God in. You invite Jesus in. Jesus, bring clarity to me right now. God, show me how you would see this. God, show me how you would see this. God, show me how you would see this. You keep inviting God into the equation. You keep inviting God into the equation. It is not trauma, and it is not shadow. That is a new age concept, and that does not understand, unfortunately, what's happening on the planet. It's very, very real. Very real. How do you deal with demons passed down? How I have dealt with demons passed down is I got real close to Jesus. I started walking with Jesus. I started asking Jesus, I want to live with God in me. I want to serve God. I want to walk with God. Anything that is not God-like, I want out of my body. I want out of my body. So Anna, you just sit and you start asking God, you start asking Jesus, like, walk me through this. Walk me back to my God-like self. Right? Show me how to clear out the demonic energies. Show me. Show me. Walk with me. Do it with me. And he will. You got to just listen, and then you got to obey. You got to do what he says. So what I did, my friend, is when I knew that I was about to write this book with Jesus, Jesus came into my room one night, and I started journaling, and he said, "Are you ready? We're going to start to write books." And I was like, "I'm ready." And he's like, "It's going to require all kinds of stuff from you, a commitment like you've never had, blah, blah, blah." I said, "I'm ready." And then like a week or two later, and he says to me, he says, you got to just do everything I say. Just promise me you'll do everything I said. And I said, "Okay, I'll do it I'll do it." And a couple weeks later, Anna, he said, "I need you to go on a 21-day water fast. And I want you to find a facility that has medical people, like a good spot." And most of my life, I had a demonic energy in me from a trauma that happened to me at a very young age, okay? And this trauma, the individual that did the trauma to me had demonic energies as well. So they didn't know it. They just passed the demonic energy over to me. And now I've got this demonic energy and I feel horrible about my body. I'm always beating up my body. My body's never good enough. I had eating disorders. I used drinking. I used sex. I used all kinds of addictions to placate that demonic energy inside of me. And so Jesus comes in and says, "Hey, we're going to write a book, but that stuff's got to go," right? And I didn't know how to clear out the core I didn't know it was a demonic energy. And I didn't know how to clear out that energy, right? You know, like if you've had addictions in your life, you kind of know that it's in you somewhere. Like even if you're not doing the addiction, you just kind of know that it's there. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to explain, but if you have addictions that you've dealt with, you just kind of know what I mean. Even if you've healed them, you can feel that there's a presence that's still there because we haven't gotten rid of the demonic energy. So, Anna, he was like, "You can't have any of this in your system. It all needs to be cleared out." And he says to me, "The demonic energies need to be cleared out of your body." And I'm like, "Well, where'd they come from? What do you mean demonic energies?" And that's all he said. So I found a place to go, and I went, and I did the fast. I fasted on water for 7 days. I fasted on broth for an additional 7 days. And this gnarly parasite came out of me. Huge gnarly parasite. And that's when Jesus said to me, "That is all of the addictions. That is the eating disorder that you had. That is the 6-year-old that was abused. That is all of it." And I remember looking down at this nasty parasite, hearing Jesus say this, and he goes, "It's gone now." And I said, "It's gone?" He goes, "It's gone." I said, "How am I going to know it's gone?" He goes, "Wait till you go home. You'll feel it. It's taken from you." He said, these demonic parasites are passed down. And he goes, "That was a demonic parasite." I'm looking at this gnarly thing laying there, right? And so every single one of us is going to have different experiences. And this is not to say, "Oh my God, you better go and do a fast and you better go." That's not true for you necessarily. And your own unique journey is your own unique journey. Okay? The one that knows is God. The one that can walk you out of demonic energies, Jesus. You want those demonic energies out? You start asking Jesus to help you, and he will pull them out of you. That's what you do, Anna. You go right to the source, and you say, "Jesus, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I can't get rid of these thoughts. I can't get rid of these behaviors. I can't do this on my own anymore." And when you get real, when you stop pretending like, and I'm not saying you, Anna, but when you stop pretending that you can do this because you got everything you need, or you hand your power and your money over to other people to do it for you, the moment you stop doing that and you say, "You know what? I'm done. I'm going to humble myself to the fact that like I've been trying and trying and trying and nothing's working. I'm going to tell you what will work if you believe me and you do it. Jesus." I'm not saying you're going to have to run to the church every day. I don't know what that's going to look like for you. I can't dictate your path with Jesus, but I can guarantee you he will free you. He will free you. 1,000,000,000%, my friend Anna, he will free you. So what do? You just start inviting him in. Jesus, come into my life today. Jesus, come sit with me. Jesus, come walk with me. Jesus, it's everybody's battle. It's everyone's battle. We just don't want to admit it. We don't want to talk about it. Everyone is battling these energies in them that they think are theirs. Everyone's trying to get out of suffering in some capacity. Everyone is dealing with something, and it's not them. It's not you. And the more that you start thinking about this, the more you're like, it isn't me. And the more you start thinking about how, especially if you have addictions, that is demonic energy 101. It's demonic energy 101 because you can feel the demon pulling you. You can feel it feed off of. The second you do the behavior, what happens? You're satiated. Guess what? The demon's quiet. The demon got fed. Yeah, this sounds so science fiction, right? But I guarantee you believe in aliens. I guarantee you believe in Palladians and Arcturians and whoever else, but you're not going to believe in demons? Parasitic, energetic, infiltrated thoughts that feed off of your energy that created all of this upside down world we live in, and that hope and pray that we don't ever figure out how to heal it, that we don't go to Jesus, that we don't ask Jesus to heal this because we can't. We don't know how. We don't know how. You can go to all the energy healers in the world. The demonic energy won't run. Most of the demonic energies won't run. They'll hide. They will hide from those energy healers. They know how to hide. The demonic energy will just hide itself somewhere else, and then it will pop back out in some other behavior or some other thought. You know what it can't hide from? Jesus. We are learning. We are learning. We are definitely learning. We are remembering. We're remembering. We are not designed to live how we are living. Yes, archons are demonic energies, 100%. Legate 007. That's where demonic energies come from, the archons. The archons are basically parasitic energies, and they infiltrate your mind. And so a demonic energy is an energy that feeds off of really nasty stuff. It's like it's a dark, it likes the heavy stuff, And so the more that we do those behaviors, the more it feeds it. So if you have an addiction and you find yourself feeding it, right? We all do. We all do. The moment you start realizing that you have it, that it's coming in, that it's getting loud, that it's pulling you, instead of beating yourself up, right? Try inviting Jesus in. Try just becoming humble and surrendered. Try giving it over and asking, Jesus, can you help me through this? Because I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. And see what happens. We can stay in the systems that we've been in. We can stay strong, and we can do all the tools and all the techniques that we continue to do, and they work. Or you could just go straight to the source and learn from Jesus. And start building a relationship with him so that you start walking through this spiritual battle sovereign and free. Now I'm cooking beets. Beets. Does anybody else have any questions before I get going? We could do a whole master class. Ooh, yay, they're done. We could do a whole master class on demonic energies. Truly. Do demonic energies attack you during the sleep? They could. They could. How do you eat? Right now I'm eating, how do I eat with a fork? Just kidding. So obnoxious. I eat with a fork. How do you eat? Just kidding. I'm eating salmon and some beets and cauliflower and this little strange concoction I made of carrots, cucumbers, red onions, tomato. Do demonic energies dysregulate your nervous system? Yep. They sure do. They sure. How do you cope knowing about all the evil? I know God. I know God. I know God. I feel God in me, and the more that I'm integrating God into my life and into my body, the more excited I become, because I realize what we're doing here. We are coming back to God. And so what happens is that as each human starts to come back to God and starts integrating God back into their lives, it's going to be the greatest, most miraculous movement on this planet, because it doesn't matter the evil. It doesn't matter what happens, because God's light heals everything. God's light clears out the demons. God's light clears out the archonic energies. God's light changes the evil people running the planet. You want to know what changes them? God's light changes them. It's impossible for humanity to not start changing when they start to actually integrate and embody, physically embody God's light. And that's how this whole world changes. Not by like doing the spiritual dance of knowing all about the concepts and knowing all about God and knowing all the knowledge. You will know if somebody is starting to integrate God, because they will change. They will change. They will not remain who they are. Their behaviors will change. The way they see the world will change. Their reaction and response to the world will change. They will change. That's how you know that God is starting to come back into people's lives. When is the next 21 days with Jesus? I'm going to do 40 days with God first, and then 21 days with Jesus. Live a little raw. If you haven't done 40 days with God, the 40-day class, do it. We sit together every day for 40 days, 30 minutes a day, and we bring in God's light. Life-changing. And then after that, we do 21 days. We do 21 days with Jesus. How does our history affect us if we come to Jesus? So your history is always there. Your history is always going to be there. So I have a history. I have things that happened. They don't go anywhere. But what starts to happen is you have a compassion for your history. You don't have to heal it or fix it. You start to see the past from the lens of God. So you start to, and you don't have to do this, Anna. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to be like, well, I mean, how do I, you don't have to actually do any of it. Just get curious with Jesus. If it's not your jam, don't worry about it. But he's going to be your jam. He's going to be your jelly on your peanut butter sandwich. He will. He will. Don't worry about the history. The history you'll resolve it all. Actually, you won't. But it will be resolved. It will be resolved. I liked your story on sin. What's the story on sin? Are you prompted by God to speak of these things? Are you prompted by God to speak of these things? Yes. I am prompted. I will say, my friend, didn't get your name, that what I try to do now is I try to share only what kind of God wants me to share. So it's hard because the ego comes in and says, oh my God, share this. And oh my God, speak about this. And oh my God, talk about this. And so I'm practicing how to decipher between what I want to share for me and what God wants me to share. It's very different. And it's a practice. Yes, I will save this. My Instagram story on sin. I forgot what it was. The reel I did on sin. That's a long one. I used to get so triggered by Jesus, but I do not anymore. It's so interesting to see now. I know it's your whole view on Jesus is going to change the more you sit with him and hang out with him. It changes. You're like, holy cow, this dude is legit. Like, he's the real deal, Holyfield. He is the real deal. Sin. Sin. You guys want to hear about sin? Well, sin is a doozy. Sin is a doozy. What can I say about sin? Let me heat up my oil and then we'll talk about sin for a second. Cauliflower. I'm nervous to tell my close friends and family about my new relationship. They are non-believers. Baby steps. Baby steps. Baby steps. Erica. Baby steps. You don't need to. And if you ever feel ready to, you will. And you will eventually be able to speak it. But what's so fascinating, Erica, what you're going to notice as you start hanging out with Jesus is how crazy it is that people get triggered by Jesus. I have my own theories. I'll keep that to myself for now. But it's mind-blowing when you actually hang out with Jesus. You get to know him. You understand him. He's the most amazing person on the planet. And people get triggered by him. And of course, I understand if you've been in the religious system and you've been traumatized. Completely understand. It's unfortunate. So I understand from that perspective. But if you've never had trauma, religious trauma, but you still are triggered by Jesus, I find that fascinating. I do, because if you knew Jesus, you wouldn't be traumatized. Okay, so sin. All right, y'all. We're doing a quick little sin study, okay? It's not going to be a long one. Get your notepad out. Get your notepad and your pen out. All right, sin. So most of us, I don't know about you, but I always was like, I don't sin. And sin just felt so gross, right? And just so restrictive and religious. And it was a concept that I just was not a big fan of. So here's how Jesus starts telling me about sin. I want you to imagine that we have this God aspect within us. Okay? Imagine this is your God aspect, this God particle, and it's designed to, when it's turned on and activated, you will feel God-like. You'll feel whole and complete. You'll feel aligned. You'll feel safe in the world. You'll feel fulfilled. You won't feel like you need to go out into the external world to fulfill yourself. You'll go out into the external world because you want to, because you enjoy, the work you do. You enjoy relationships. Like, you're not needing it for some sort of fulfillment. Okay. Now, most of us, when we are dropped into this planet, all of us, this aspect of this particle, this God particle, the memory has been wiped, so we don't remember it. And all this light that's supposed to come down from God to activate this, it's been infiltrated, so there's just these little drops. So we come in disconnected in a way from God. We're always connected, but the way that we're designed to live in the body with God has been distorted. And so we have a void, a hole, so to speak, where God is designed to fill, that God's designed to fill. Okay? You with me so far? So we are born into this need to find something. We're searching. Who am I? Where is God? What is all of this for? The reason we have those questions is because innately we are missing something. If God was flowing into us the way He's designed to, the way this light's designed to flow into us, and this was activated and turned on, all right? Hold on a second. I got to put this puppy in. Okay, if we were completely connected and aligned with God, this would be turned on, and we wouldn't be searching. We wouldn't be searching for anything. You see, this is the piece that we think. We think it's normal. We think it's completely normal to search for God. Okay, forget about searching for God. Searching for meaning. Searching for who we are. What is this all about? What's my purpose? Why am I here? Every human has this in them. Okay? I don't care who you are. We all have it in them, in us. It's because this, the God particle, the part of you that is God, is not filled. So there is a void. Now let's talk about sin. When the spiritual battle happened 7,000 years ago, these group of hybrid / beings came in and distorted that light and distorted this. So they took our memory and they moved us into a disempowered state. Then what happened is they used energy to infiltrate our minds, okay, and to feed off of energy responses from us, joy, peace, greed, pride, lust, gluttony, sloth, lying, jealousy, these types of things. The infiltrated parasitic thoughts that come in feed off of those energetic responses from the human. Okay? Hope you're still with me. Now, sin is the human. This is where it gets good. Sin is where the human listens to those infiltrated parasitic thoughts, follows those thoughts, and releases the emotional response that the parasite wants. For instance, all of a sudden you'll have a thought that you want more money, okay? And you're like, God, I just don't have enough money. I need more money. I got to get more money. And then you go and get more money and you feel great. The moment you feel the need for more money, the parasite feeds. The moment that you have more money, the parasite feeds. You go out and get more money, you are fulfilled. You go out and get more relationships, you're fulfilled. You go out and have more sex, you're fulfilled. That's not you doing it, even though it is. We all are making choices. We're all responsible for our choices. But those infiltrated thoughts create desires that pinpoint the lack of fulfillment within you because you are not connected into God yet completely. So there is a void, and it feeds off that void, and it says, hey, you have this desire to feel safe in the world. That money's going to do it. So go make more money. It's going to make you feel so good. and then you go and do it, and of course it makes you feel good. That is sin in a nutshell. It is moving away from God and to the external world. It's being fulfilled by the external world and not fulfilled by God. It's not your fault or my fault that we live in sin. The whole planet lives in sin. Sin is the illusion that the external world fulfills what only God can fulfill. The reason God isn't fulfilling it yet for most of us is because we are not drinking in that holy light over and over again. And when we do, it fulfills us. And what you will notice is that those behaviors will slowly stop. You'll be like, I don't need all that money. What am I doing? You won't need it. Why am I sleeping around with 800 people? This is not fulfilling. If you have an addiction to porn, you're going to be like, what? God's light changes you. It changes you. Those behaviors go away because God fulfills the void inside of you that you've been trying to fill, consciously or unconsciously, your whole life, externally. And by the way, it's because you have been infiltrated with these thoughts, parasitic thoughts, that feed off of your response of needing the external world. Are you getting this? Sin's not bad. It's bad in the sense that it pulls us from God. But sin is not our fault. We're born into sin. When people say Jesus came to save you from sin, that's 100% correct. He 1,000,000,000% is here to save us from the sin because we don't even see it as a problem. Because we're not realizing that our natural state, we don't even know what our natural state is yet because we haven't fully felt it. We think this is normal. Now, of course, you know that there's definitely sinful behaviors where you're like, Lori, that's a little, I want to check yourself at the door, right? But if you see sin from the lens of, there's a hole in my, there's a void basically within me because God has not filled it up yet because the light of God has been infiltrated. So I have this innate natural search for fulfillment. Then I've got these archonic parasitic thoughts coming in, feeding that void, saying it's out there. Oh my God, you're going to be so happy when you have more followers. You're going to be so happy when you have more money. You are going to be so happy when you're famous. Trust me. You're going to be so happy when you have that bigger place. You're going to be so happy when you live out in the nature. You're going to be so happy when you have a family. You're going to be so happy. You're going to feel so fulfilled when you get that dog. Right? We do it with everything. Nothing wrong with a lot of these behaviors, my friends. This is how we live. This is the great thing about life. The difference between enjoying life and needing life to fulfill you is God. So when God comes in and starts filling you up, you're satisfied. You're satisfied. You're satisfied. I'm going to tell you something. You're satisfied because you're safe. For the first time in your life, you're safe. Somehow you know that you're going to be taken care of. Listen, I know this is hard, especially when it comes to money and your health. But when the light of God starts moving through you, there's a part of you that just knows naturally that you're going to be okay. And you don't even know how. That's God. That is your natural state. When you invite God back into your body, you are moving back into your natural state of being. This God particle turns on. It's naturally designed to, just like your heart, just like your lungs. This is natural. We have forgotten how we are naturally designed to live. And you'll know this when it starts happening. Then you'll say, Lori, you were right. You were right. I kept going. I kept inviting it in. I kept talking to Jesus. I kept doing what you were saying, and things are changing. You were right. Things that have never changed in my life. You start to feel like you're taken care of because you are. We are born into this. We are designed to be born into this body, connected to the God particle, connected straight to source, completely sovereign, free, safe, abundant, not because we're making all this money and manifesting everything and we have all these jets and planes and houses. No, because God's moving through your blood and your veins and your breath and your everything. And then you understand, oh, this is my natural state. And then you're like, do I want that? I don't know. I feel pretty good right now. Yeah, let's go do that. That would feel good. Let's go do it. But you don't need it. You don't need it. You're not searching for the next high. You're not searching for the next dopamine hit. God's your dopamine. God's your dopamine. So sin, in a nutshell, forgot who asked about sin. Sin, in a nutshell, just imagine there's this void here. We all have it, and there's this need to fulfill it, consciously or unconsciously. And for thousands of years, we have had these infiltrated thoughts that create the illusion that that's going to fulfill me. And so it places these thoughts in you. If you just go get that, it's going to feel good. And then you just decide, yeah, okay, if I get a new job, I'll feel better. If I do this, I'll feel happier. If I do that, I'll feel, whatever it is. It's because this is just kind of not yet fulfilled by God's light. That's all. And so you're out there, and sin is turning your back on God. Sin's thinking that something else is going to serve you better than God. Sin is relying on the external world instead of God. That's what it is. So when you start inviting God back in, you start sitting with your own God presence, you start hanging out with that light over and over and over again, God shows you who you are. Everything changes. All right, you guys, I got to go because I believe my salmon's done. Let me try. Oh, heck yeah. Oh my God, I have the best dinner. Salmon, beets, cauliflower. Booyah. All right, you guys, that's it. I will save this. I think it's, 2 hours? How long have we been talking? I don't even know how long we've been talking. But we have a lot to talk about. What's the difference between being taken care of versus everything working out? I don't know what you mean by being taken care of and everything's working out. It's the same thing, right? Being taken care of and everything's going to work out. It's a knowingness that everything's going to work out, but you're always making choice. You're always taking action. You don't just sit back and say willy-nilly like, okay, do it all. You got to take action. But when you have God coming into you over and over, filling you up, you kind of just know you're going to be okay. It's not that you don't have fears or you don't get scared or you don't freak out or you don't have anxiety. You just start learning how to trust God. You start learning how to trust God. I love you guys. I'll save this and I'll see you soon. Wow.